I can't stop now. I can't stop doing this.
Dr. Julie Smith. She's a clinical psychologist with more than 3 million followers. How is she dealing with stress, pressure, burnout, overload?
We're subjected to these kind of ideals. We're trying to do everything perfectly, and it's impossible. Those things that we end up doing habitually are the things that work instantly. Going to the fridge or grabbing the wine or whatever it is. And actually the things that tend to work in the long term are hardest in the moment.
생각이 멈추지 않을 때 우린 생각으로 해결하려 합니다. 하지만 그건 불가능하죠. 첫 번째 도구, 뇌의 스위치를 물리적으로 끄는 법부터 확인하시죠.
Talk to me about breath and the role it plays and how we can use our breathing to make ourselves feel less anxious.
Sure. So it's one of probably the first things that I will go through with someone, because you'll get people who come along for therapy, and in that first, it takes time, right? You have to get to know each other, and they're trying to communicate their story, and then a whole week goes by before you see each other again. And actually, people often go to therapy when they're in a really bad place, and so they'll often be saying, is there something I can do in between sessions that's going to help me get through to next week? And so if that person is struggling with really high anxiety, that one thing that is very quick to teach that they can take away is something like a breathing exercise, because it's one of the quickest ways that we can, slow the anxiety response. So if you're anxious, your breathing will be fast and shallow. So kind of, and if you do that for long enough, you actually start to feel quite panicky. And that's because, your heart and your lungs are connected. So your heart's going to start pounding to get all that oxygen around your body, and you'll kind of start gearing up into action. So if you can slow your breathing down, you can slow the whole process down. I think I mentioned this in the book. I've certainly done videos on it, is sort of box breathing or square breathing, where you can, if you're out and about and you don't want anyone to really know what you're doing, if you're on a bus or at a meeting, pick something like a door or a window or something. It's kind of box shape. And you start with the kind of bottom left corner. And as you kind of trace your eyes up to the top corner, you're just counting in as you breathe in, and it's maybe like 4 seconds. And then as you trace your eyes across the top, that will be a pause. So you're just holding a breath for 4 seconds. And then you come back down with an out breath for 4 seconds, and then hold. And so you're just kind of breathing in 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4. So, and it's just one way of, when you're out, to give you a visual focus that can help you to just monitor, okay, and now I'm breathing in, now I'm breathing out. Because when you're really, really panicking, actually breathing slowly can feel really difficult to do. So you can use that kind of visual. But also more recently, some great research has been coming out about how to kind of, it's helpful to extend the out breath. So if you can, it doesn't really matter what the numbers are. If you can make that out breath longer and more vigorous than your in breath, then that's going to help calm that response.
몸을 진정시켰다면 이제 인생의 나침반을 점검할 차례입니다. 목표에 집착할수록 커지는 불안을 잠재우는 두 번째 도구, 가치입니다.
So values and goals. What is the difference? What is a value?
Sure. So the way I would talk about sort of values and goals in therapy is really around a goal is something that once you achieve it, once you get there, it's done. So, your goal might be to get through your exams. Okay, exams are over, you passed, done. A value doesn't finish or end. It's a pathway. If you imagine your life as a journey, for example, it's a path that extends the whole of your life. And it's something that you choose to always stay close to when you can. And I think, life will always take you in different directions. So sometimes life will pull you away from a particular value. But it's really about always evaluating and knowing where that path is so that you can pull back in that direction. So, for example, when your career starts to take over because it's so busy, and then you think, I haven't spoken to my girlfriend all week, that's you going, that path's too far away now. I'm pulling back. I need to head back in this direction because this is important to me. And so it's a kind of, winding path where you're sometimes you're pulling away from it and sometimes you're going back towards it. And something that I included in the book was these sort of little values check-ins that I would do and we do in therapy, where we look at, okay, just look at the different areas of your life. It doesn't have to be rocket science, doesn't have to be really kind of airy-fairy. It's looking at, okay, what's important to you in your life? You might have family, intimate relationships, health, creativity, lifelong learning, career, contribution, those kind of things. And then you could literally kind of split it up into boxes and put in each box words, what's really crucial is it's not what happens to you. It's not what you want to happen to you. It's how you want to respond to things, how you want to be in that area of your life, what kind of person you want to be. So let's say you were looking at your, romantic relationships. What kind of boyfriend do I actually want to be? What kind of partner do I want to be? What do I want to represent to that person? And how do I want to come at difficulties? How do I want to sort of respond to problems that we face? And that kind of thing. So it's all looking at the attitude that you bring to that situation in your life or that area of your life. And you might come up with words that then kind of resonate, or, maybe, I don't know, maybe in your work life, maybe enthusiasm is a word that you just hold close to you, and that becomes one of your values. And so you can then, and sort of exercise that's in the book is you can almost rate, okay, how important is it to me to be enthusiastic in my work? Maybe it's 10 out of 10. That's really, really important to me. And on that same scale, then how much do I feel like I'm living in line with that this week or today? 2 out of 10. I'm pretty tired. Can't even bother today. This job's really boring today, or whatever. And then, so what you've done there is you've opened up a discrepancy between, okay, this is really important to you, but you're not living in line with it. Why? What's going on? Not in a way that you can then be really self-critical, but as a tool to say, my girlfriend's really important to me, but I haven't seen her for 4 weeks. Why? What's stopping me from jumping on a plane right now? Okay, let's do that. And then, when you start to do those things and you're coming back towards your value, the sort of rating for how much you're living in line with it would go up. And so doing that kind of exercise is really just a long-winded way of saying you can look at what's important to you. You can just do a really quick measure up of how much am I living in line with it, and what areas of my life do I need to pay attention to because I'm not living in line with it. So it can be kind of quite simple and a fairly quick exercise, really.
나만의 가치를 세웠다면 이제 마지막 단계입니다. 내 머릿속에 떠오르는 수많은 생각들과 안전하게 거리를 두는 기술입니다.
Is this idea that we are not our thoughts, and in fact we can hold them out in front of us and analyze them for validity, but we don't have to directly associate or identify with all of our thoughts, because I think we all go through life believing that the things that are being said in our minds are us saying them and are a reflection of exactly who we are, and that's incredibly dangerous, especially in high emotional situations, right?
Yeah, it causes people loads of problems when we think that the thoughts that pop into our heads say something about who we are, or that we chose them in some way, and that's where this whole kind of, there's a lot of stuff online, isn't there, about only positive vibes and only think positive thoughts, and if you do that, you're setting yourself up to feel like a failure, because it's not the way the human mind works, and thoughts will pop into your head, and that's your brain offering up ideas, opinions, judgments, narratives, memories, all that kind of thing, and it's what you do next with it. And that's where people can really struggle with intrusive thoughts, for example. So they'll have a thought that feels bizarre to them or feels aversive in some way, and then judge themselves for having had the thought and try desperately not to have it again. And when you try not to have a thought, you're already having it, because you think, don't think about whatever it is. And so, you're just setting yourself up to fail if you're trying to control what thoughts come into your head. But if you allow them all to be there, and then you choose consciously what to do with them next, or how much time to spend with each one, then it's closer to winning.
생각은 내가 아닌 제안일 뿐이라는 것. 이 사실만 기억해도 우린 자유로워질 수 있습니다. 오늘 배운 도구들의 결론입니다.
But these are great tools and they really, really help, but it doesn't stop life throwing stuff at you. It doesn't make you invincible. And I say that in the introduction. This isn't the key to a problem-free life. It's an arsenal of tools that you can use to face those problems with that will ensure you can kind of get through it.
완벽한 삶은 없지만 이 도구 상자만 있다면 당신은 어떤 폭풍우도 지나갈 수 있습니다. 오늘 여러분에게 가장 필요한 도구는 무엇인가요?